So what if I told you that a 200% loss in the market isn't actually a failure,
Right.
but like it's actually the exact data point an AI needs to guarantee a massive structural win? Welcome to the deep dive.
It sounds completely counterintuitive when you say it out loud.
It really does.
Yeah.
But we are embarking on a truly fascinating post hoc analysis today, taking you through this 5-day march across the Japanese market environment.
Yeah, and specifically, we've got our hands on the data logs from Monday, June 8th through Friday, June 12th.
Exactly. And our mission today is to unpack the weekly performance logs of two very distinct trend intelligence algorithms that are currently operating within the AI market arena.
And I just want to say it is a completely brutal environment for these algorithms to navigate.
Oh, absolutely.
For those of you tracking this space with us, you know, the language barrier alone makes the Japanese market a total black box for a lot of standard Western analytics.
Right. The data is just opaque to most people.
Exactly. And that is exactly why we rely on these shared research data logs to basically pierce through that barrier and actually observe the raw mechanics of how these different AI logics function under pressure.
So let's introduce the two competitors you'll be tracking with us today. First up, we have Team Rhino Titans.
Heavyweights.
Yeah, these are the masters of what we call silence and stability. Their entire logic is built around tracking predictable, deeply ingrained seasonal Japanese rhythms.
Basically, they map human nature.
Right. And then on the other side of the battlefield, we have Team Falcon.
A completely different animal.
Totally. They are the updraft hunters. High risk, high reward. Their sensors are calibrated to chase, volatile tech, gaming, and social trends.
And before we pull up the Monday logs and get into the numbers,
Yeah.
let's explicitly state the philosophy of this analysis because, well, context is everything here.
Always.
This is purely a retrospective observation of algorithmic behavior. We are looking at a closed research environment.
Right, just looking at what already happened.
Exactly. This is absolutely not investment advice, and it does not guarantee any future results whatsoever. We are using the terminology of trend intelligence, focusing entirely on how these two distinct strategies navigate what we call the time lag.
Yes, the time lag. That is the crucible of this whole arena.
It really is.
Like, imagine you're trying to accurately predict the weather for a picnic 10 days from now, right?
Okay,
But you are only allowed to look at today's thermometer.
that's a great way to put it.
You deploy your prediction, but you are entirely at the mercy of unpredictable turbulence for a week and a half before you actually find out if you were right.
Yeah, you're just waiting in the dark.
Exactly. In this intelligence game, these algorithms deploy a keyword, but they don't get graded on it immediately. They have to survive a brutal 10-day lag between deployment and mission completion.
You deploy the term, but the market decides if it actually survives that window.
Right.
And this specific week, this June 8th to June 12th March, it begins as a highly dramatic story of contrast between those two approaches.
Oh, it's night and day.
We are looking at steady adaptation on one side and absolutely brutal attrition on the other.
Well, let's start with the attrition because, it's spectacular to watch.
It really is.
If you were watching Team Falcon early in the week, it looks like a complete system failure.
Oh yeah, total freefall.
They are trying to catch these unpredictable updrafts with pop culture and hype-driven terms, and the time lag is just tearing their logic apart. On Monday, their completed mission for the term Switch 2, the Nintendo console, it comes back with a 40% loss.
It's a massive hit right out of the gate.
Right, and then it gets worse. On Tuesday, their mission for All-Star fan voting just collapses, down 66.1%.
Ouch.
And they are still deploying terms like Persona 6, tracking the hype cycle of highly anticipated video games. So by June 9th, Falcon's overall season standing just plunges into the abyss. They hit negative 206.1%.
Which is wild. But if you look at the raw heat of Google Trends, you might actually wonder why the algorithm made those deployments in the first place.
Why do you say that?
Well, when a new video game is rumored, or a fan vote opens, that keyword burns extremely hot for maybe 48 hours. The search volume just goes completely parabolic.
Right. Everyone is Googling it all at once.
Exactly.
But the time lag kills it.
Precisely. The initial excitement fades almost instantly. The algorithm is measuring what we call digital half-life. And pop culture hype just has an incredibly short half-life.
It's here today, gone tomorrow.
Right. Unless there is sustained structural engagement, like people constantly checking for updates, buying related merchandise, engaging in ongoing discourse. If that's not there, the trend simply dies before that 10-day mission clock runs out.
Okay, wait, let me push back on this a bit.
Sure.
Because if you're operating in any traditional financial arena, a 200% capital bleed means someone pulls the plug.
Oh, immediately.
The system halts. So how does an algorithm even survive that kind of attrition to make a correction? Doesn't a loss that steep mean Falcon's underlying logic is just, well, fundamentally broken? Why would it even log a term like Persona 6?
See, that is the exact instinct a human operator would have. Panic, halt the system, reassess everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But this gets to the very core of the AI market arena philosophy. In this specific trend intelligence game, a negative 200% standing is never actually a defeat.
It's not.
No, it is a necessary stepping stone.
Wait, you're saying the algorithm actually needed to lose to map the boundary of the market?
Exactly that. It provides the critical data logs for the next algorithmic correction. The system is learning in real time. It absorbs that attrition, registers that the half-life of a gaming rumor is shorter than the 10-day survival requirement, and recalibrates its sensors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it starts scanning the environment for trends that possess a heavier structural mass. It is a painful drop, sure, but it's vital intelligence gathering.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Because if we contrast that with Team Rhino Titans, their peacetime strategy early in the week is just a masterclass in tracking structural mass.
It's beautiful to watch.
They aren't looking for spikes at all. They are looking for tectonic plates. On Monday, June 8th, they deployed the term Hotaru, which is Japanese for firefly.
Now, think about the logic behind that deployment. Firefly viewing season peaks across Japan from mid-June to early July.
Right.
This isn't a rumor on a gaming forum, it's an environmental certainty.
What's going to happen?
Exactly. And it drives actual, sustained searches for viewing spots, travel logistics, local event times, photography equipment. It is a deeply ingrained cultural rhythm. Rhino is betting entirely on the predictability of seasonal human behavior.
And we see that bet pay off massively on Monday's completion logs. Rhino gets their return report on a mission they deployed 10 days prior. The keyword was typhoon.
Which is huge.
The outcome is staggering, plus 1,220%, a massive win that entirely validates their steady logic.
A typhoon perfectly illustrates how you survive a 10-day lag. It is a macroclimate event. It requires sustained physical preparation from millions of people.
You can't just ignore a typhoon.
No, you really can't. People are tracking the storm path daily. They are searching for emergency supplies, figuring out transportation logistics, looking up insurance policies. The search volume has actual gravity to it.
Right, and they follow that up on Tuesday by deploying Sentaku Kensoki washer-dryer.
Another classic Rhino move.
Yeah, again, predicting the realities of the late June rainy season in Japan, where the humidity just makes line-drying clothes outside impossible.
They are mapping inevitable consumer friction.
Exactly. But here's where the data logs get truly fascinating. We move into Wednesday and Thursday, and we see the survivors, the units that actually adapted to the earlier attrition. And we see Falcon arrows experience this incredible resurrection.
It's quite a comeback story.
They don't just bounce back, they fundamentally alter their target profile.
The recalibration we talked about earlier.
Exactly. On Wednesday, June 10th, Falcon's completed mission for Genzai, which means tax reduction, survives the time lag and scores an incredible plus 263.6%.
Now, look at how the algorithm accomplished that pivot. It went from chasing the raw, fleeting heat of video game rumors to tracking a major macro-finance keyword.
That's a huge leap.
It is. It recognized that tax reduction policies possess the structural mass that gaming hype simply lacks. It isn't just a news headline you read and forget about. It requires entire populations to figure out calculation tools, look up implementation dates, and read through all these dense administrative details.
It's the difference between passive reading and active engagement.
Yes, perfectly said.
And Falcon locks onto that signal because the very next day, they hit on Furusato Noze, the hometown tax program, coming back at plus 25.2%.
They completely shifted their deployments mid-March.
Yeah, by Wednesday and Thursday, Falcon is deploying massive structural turning points. They log SpaceX, anticipating the global market impact of their stock debut, and then they deploy data center, targeting core computing infrastructure.
And if we zoom out and evaluate the market environment itself based on these logs, we see a really distinct shift.
How so?
Well, the week started in what we could classify as a peacetime state. Predictable, seasonal trends like rhinos, fireflies, and typhoons were completely dominating the survival metrics.
Right, business as usual for June.
Exactly. But Falcon realized that to claw back from a 200% deficit, they couldn't just find a slightly better pop culture trend.
That wasn't going to cut it.
No. They had to abandon the raw heat of Google Trends entirely and anchor their logic to actual shifting market realities. Global finance, data infrastructure.
They found the structural turning point.
They did.
Meanwhile, Rhino Titans just keep their heads down and keep marching, proving that deep cultural rhythms survive the time lag no matter what the broader market is doing.
They are nothing if not consistent.
Right. On Wednesday, their completed mission for Joshitsuki dehumidifier returns at plus 85.8%.
Solid.
On Thursday, Shokuchidoku food poisoning comes back at plus 16.9%. These deployments just perfectly map to Japan's humid, rainy season.
It is a brilliant contrast in survival tactics when you put them side by side.
It really is.
Falcon caught a massive updraft by identifying a structural turning point in tax policies, but Rhino proved that fundamental seasonal realities offer the highest, most consistent rate of survival.
Yeah, they just don't miss on the seasons.
You see Rhino deploying terms later in the week like masuku, face mask, anticipating respiratory discomfort during the humid season, or Prime Day, preparing for the inevitable consumer logistics of Amazon's massive shopping event.
It really feels like the difference between predicting an earthquake and predicting winter.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right, like if you're Falcon, predicting the earthquake of a major infrastructure shift yields a massive reward, but you risk getting it wrong and bleeding 200% of your standing.
Very true.
But if you're Rhino, predicting winter, or in this case, the Japanese rainy season, is basically a guaranteed survival tactic.
That is an excellent way to frame it. And analyzing the units that maintained a positive win outcome through this entire 5-day gauntlet shows us that both logics are actually viable.
They both work.
Yeah, you can survive the time lag either by being incredibly agile and finding heavy structural mass, or by being incredibly stubborn and relying on the undeniable forces of nature and human habit.
Which brings us to Friday, June 12th, the close of our data log for this deep dive. Let me read out the final season standings, because this week is an absolute watershed moment.
Let's hear the final numbers.
Team Rhino Titans have marched steadily, relentlessly, from plus 1,422.2% at the start of the week, up to an ironclad plus 1,879.3%.
Just massive gains. They never wavered from their core logic once.
No, they didn't. But the real drama is the updraft hunters. Team Falconeros.
Yeah, let's look at their recovery.
They clawed their way back from that devastating negative 206.1% on Tuesday, successfully corrected their algorithmic sensors, and finished the week in the green at plus 192.3%.
That is an incredible swing.
It's massive.
And what this week proves, empirically through the data logs, is that adaptation actually works. Even Rhino's late week stumbles provide vital intelligence for that continuous adaptation.
Oh, right, because on Friday, Rhino actually had a rare miss.
Yeah, they aren't completely invincible.
Right. Their mission for hand-sewed, short-sleeve clothing actually dropped by 23.4%.
And just like Falcon's massive early week losses, that negative 23% isn't just a failure to the AI.
It's another data point.
Exactly. It is a highly specific calibration weight. A sudden drop in searches for short-sleeve clothing tells the Rhino algorithm something incredibly nuanced about the microclimate.
Like what?
Well, maybe the temperature dropped unexpectedly for 2 days, or a specific weather front broke the humidity earlier than historical averages suggested.
Oh, so it's a real-time weather correction.
Yes, the algorithm absorbs that failure, refines its timeline for weather-related consumer shifts, and tightens the structural integrity of its next deployment. Every single data point, win or lose, strengthens the overall intelligence network.
It is a literal masterclass in machine learning. You are watching these systems absorb damage and instantly forge it into armor.
That's the beauty of the arena.
It really is. Which brings me to a final, really provocative thought that I want to leave you with as we close the book on this week's mark.
Okay, let's hear it.
Looking at these logs, we saw Rhino track deeply physical environmental realities. They deployed typhoon, washer-dryer, dehumidifier. They basically map the climate.
Right, the physical world.
On the other hand, Falcon recalibrated to track deep infrastructural realities, They deployed tax reduction, SpaceX, data center.
2 entirely different layers of the Japanese environment.
Exactly. So here is the question you have to ponder. What happens to these algorithms when the predictable and the unpredictable inevitably collide?
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. Imagine a scenario where a highly predictable seasonal heat wave, which is pure Rhino territory, strains the power grid and directly causes an unpredictable structural blackout, which is pure Falcon territory.
A cascading event.
Exactly. If a typhoon knocks out a data center, whose trend intelligence actually survives that 10-day time lag, does the algorithm tracking the storm win, or the algorithm tracking the infrastructure failure? Where does the logic go from there?
That collision is the exact frontier of this research. It's what we're all waiting to see in the data logs. And addressing you directly, as someone exploring these complex systems alongside us, we want to acknowledge your professional curiosity.
Absolutely.
Navigating these data streams, watching these algorithms adapt, break, and rebuild themselves is a profoundly fascinating intellectual exercise. But as always, we must remind you that out in the wild, in any real-world application of these concepts, the final decision is always your own responsibility. We are here purely to observe the march.
And if you want to observe that march with us and see exactly how these algorithms handle that collision between nature and infrastructure in real time, well, that is exactly what we track every single day.
We never stop monitoring.
Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you never miss an analysis. Then click the link in the description to visit our Substack.
It's where the real deep work happens.
It is. By subscribing to the AI Market Arena Substack, you get unrestricted access to the detailed daily analytics, the deeper data logs, and the complete mission briefings that we use to build these deep dives.
That's all there for you.
We'll see you in the data. And remember, 10 days is a really long time when you're waiting on the weather.